Hello and welcome to round 8 of the HSO Can-Am Challenge Cup Championship, coming to you tonight from Edmonton in Canada and the Alberta region. And with me in the booth tonight I have Jason White, our admin for the series. Hi there, Jason.
Jonathan, how are you?
I'm pretty good. It's a little bit too warm in Sweden at the moment, but otherwise it's perfectly fine. How are you?
I'm good. It's gray and dreary in Michigan at the moment, so this is this will provide a welcome distraction today on a lazy Sunday.
Yeah, it's good that there's such opportunities around.
Yeah, they present themselves occasionally.
They do indeed. Let's see. We could probably have a look at the track first, so let's bring that up on your screen, where we are at Edmonton, and better bring up the text I wrote down for this. The Edmonton International Speedway, I should say, also known as Speedway Park, and it's 4.6067 k's, or about 2.53 miles long, 14 turns, and we'll be going for 80 laps, which would equal just over 202 miles. And
yeah, this is probably one of the more technical tracks on the schedule. This is a multi-purpose facility. The front straight doubles as a drag strip. Behind the last turn there's a short oval, and if you're watching on the broadcast and see the grandstands for that as you approach the final turn. The part of this track that's so technical, I guess, would be that some of the turns are double apex in nature. So you have to set up for one, and then you find yourself setting up for a tighter kink before you exit, which can, if you don't have the car trajectory right, it can really be detrimental for your exit speed. And because you want to get down these straight because you can, exit speed is really important. The trouble spot that everyone's going to have to watch for is at the very end of the long drag strip, which is you go through a kink, which would be, I guess, turns 1 and 2, and then turn 3 is the right-hander. It's 90 degrees. It is very, very easy to wipe out over here, because if you don't handle it just right, I mean, it's an easier to take if the car is lighter weight, but these are heavier cars, and they can get upset very easily. And if you're not careful, you can go for a surfing excursion along that. Oh, there's a couple people doing it now. It's if you time it, it's not good. Some cars are going to be coming close to 200 miles per hour before they shut off for turns 1 and 2, that little kink. And there's a couple more of these left-rights on the back side of the course, which can be a little tricky. And if you get one of your tires on the grass under acceleration, it basically screws you up, and you have to lift and restabilize the car. And you might see on your screen occasionally these big giant swaths of light gray pavement on the inside of the track, and you'd think, well, shoot, why don't we just cut across there? You can't do that, because they're actually more akin to loose gravel, and it'll just slow you down. So,
well, I think that's the legacy of the way it opened with the I didn't write down a name for that just because of that, but the short oval that is located on the track was formerly a dirt track, so
yes,
that's probably why the inside of the corners are more like dirt than anything else.
So I don't know if you have you want to go over the points?
Yeah, I was considering going for that, so let's have a look at that as well. Where after last round at Donnybrook, Yves Placel leads, and he is enjoying a healthy lead of 9 points. He's on 88 ahead of David Saber in the McLaren on 79 after David had a, difficult to say anything else than a disastrous event last time out, where he was in the lead and going well and had to pit for, I believe it was both fuel or tires, but I'm not entirely sure. David Yates is third in this championship, and he is now in the Åcerclinth, the car that Dana Schurer drove earlier in the season, and I noticed he was quite far up the grid despite the somewhat, according to him, wayward handling, the nervousness of that car. David Junt is fourth in the championship on 58 points, and Martin Lasina runs out top 5 in the championship on 37 points.
Yeah, I think most observers of this championship would reason that it is Yves Poisset's championship to lose at this point. He's exploited the handling of the Ferrari really, really well in this series. David Saber was really strong towards the early part of the season, but he's going to have some really flawless final races here if he wants to catch Yves Poisset, and I think it's fair to say that something calamitous is going to have to happen to Yves to close that gap. David Jakes, I don't think he can quite challenge for the championship, but he is driving that Åcerclinth. As you mentioned, it's kind of a wonky car handling-wise, but it does have 8 liters of fire-breathing horsepower, and David Jakes is adept at handling wonky cars. If you think back to how he was able to tame the Jordan in the F191 series. He made it look easy, but it was not. So if anybody can handle the Åcerclinth, I think David Jakes can.
And one of the good things for David as well is that he knows very well how to set up the cars, which is one of the reasons he was able to get the Jordan to work so well in the F1 championship.
Yeah, he's one of the best setup doctors we have in this league, that's for sure.
And of course it'll also be nice to see that Åcerclinth again in the championship, since it's been gone for 2 or 3 rounds now, and I find it to be one of the more beautiful cars in the mod, despite it being not quite one of the quickest cars in the series.
Speaking of cars being absent, I mean, we have a light field today. 21 cars are going to take the green flag, and this is typical of the way things are towards the summer here at HSO, because people go on holiday and everything, and this is actually the last race before our summer break, which is the entire month of August. So after this, we're going to have 30 days of uninterrupted just downtime, and then we will resume our 2018 schedule. So it's not surprising that there'd be so few cars, but the fact that this race is so tricky, high attrition possibly, could be a chance for some people who don't normally finish in the top 10 to do so in this race if they keep their nose clean and out of trouble. 80 laps is a long way, though. That's a long time to... I mean, if you think about it, you have to make it through that dramatic kink at the end of the long straight 80 times without making a mistake. That's a tall order.
Indeed, so. It's also one of those tracks where you don't really have an opportunity to rest. The only real opportunity you have is the front stretch, the drag strip, but that's only like 10 seconds of the lap. Of about, I believe it's about a 50... Is it 50? I don't actually remember the exact lap times, but it's around 50 seconds. It's not 50 seconds a lap, is it? It's 1 minute 20-ish a lap.
Roughly. See if there's anybody here that we can catch going around the course on a full lap.
Well, Yves looks to be one of the first out of the...
He is, but he's like goodness. He's doing it. That's another thing right there. He's going way off the track right there. That's going to be something that people in that location are not going to want to do, because if you do that, you have a high probability of missing the timing bit there, and it could cost you a lap. So,
which is something that actually happened to me back in the day. this track has also hosted other series such as the Formula Atlantics and the Formula 5000 cars. And when we did the Formula Atlantics around here, I actually missed the timing beacon, so I ended up a lap down on everyone.
Yeah,
thankfully enough, the organization then moved me forward, but
okay,
it's still not something you want to do because you end up with blue flags all the time.
Alright, here he comes off the corner now. The last corner, which is kind of like almost a mirror image of the... Well, no, not really. It'd be like kind of like the Parabolica at Monza. Accelerating hard down the long straightaway, and then here comes this kink right here, and you have to negotiate this just right. Not a good idea to break in between here.
Oh, as he did!
Oh, no! Oh, shoot!
As he does just that.
Oh, no. Okay, well, let's find somebody else then to...
David Yates is coming on to the front
David Yates
switch.
is exiting. Okay, let's see if this works out.
Hopefully it will. That was a bit dramatic.
Auto coast. And he's heading down the long straight. He's got 8 liters too, Chevrolet power. Heading into this kink, he's going to have to do a little bit more gently because he's got a car he's approaching. One
of the Porsches, I believe.
Porsche. Very tight double right hand here. Oh, Enrique doesn't seem to want to let him by. Anyway, he gets...
And that's Parker's end that he came together with the Porsche.
Yeah. Then here's this second of these two little kinks, left, right, or right, left, and then you drift into this left-hander, which you can take at pretty decent speed, actually, accelerating up to this kind of a boot-like section. Right hand, this is a faster part here, and then comes this really interesting corner, which is banked. When you go to the right here, you see what David's doing. He's swinging out so that you can get more momentum going through the corner. And he nudges Enrique out of the way. Well, okay, hopefully this is not a forecast of what happens. Then there's another left-hander here, which is kind of tight. Then the last of these two, these left-right kinks, you can see the grandstand for the small oval on the left. And then you go into what would best be described a parabolica. If you nail it exactly right, you can exit with full throttle. Let's take one more lap with David uninterrupted here. Down the long straight. Should be at full throttle here. Feathering as he comes into here. Downshifting to the third. Now into second. Hard on the brakes. Into turn number 3, which is right-hander. You can actually clip the grass here. You got to use every inch of it in order to maximize the acceleration out of it. Now he goes into the right-left section here, then a left-hander, which can be taken at around 80 to 85 miles an hour for the faster cars. Exiting here, putting his tires right on the white line. Downshifting to second. Some cars go through here in third. Accelerating out. Now this is the one where he's going to swing wide and then dip in at the last minute.
He actually has
Actually, he's going all the way down that, but now he comes into this left-hander. This one's particularly tight, and if you get it wrong, you can end up on the grass on the exit, but he looks like he's got it placed well. Yes, he does. Now here's another one of these little right-left combinations. Then hard on the brakes. You don't want to get this wrong because there's very little room to bring the car to a stop. Under the bridge, and then unlimbering the car back onto the long straight. That lap of, well, 2 laps of Edmonton.
As you can see, it's very tight and very tricky.
Very technical. Extremely technical. And the one saving grace in some cases is that there is some runoff, but you will still lose lots and lots of time if you go off track. So,
indeed. Maybe we should also mention that we have a couple of developments in terms of who is in what car.
Yeah, a few.
If I can just find that. There we go. Well, we have David Yates, as I mentioned earlier, and as we saw here, joining the Åcerclinth team. Timo Vermeersch will join the McCaig Racing team, but for tonight, Thiago Canola will be driving that McLaren due to Timo being away somewhere, I believe. And Mark Craggs jumps into the Porsche Vasek Polak racing team that that seat was of course vacated by Timo when he switched to the McLaren team.
He is also not here. So, light field, as I mentioned, but no, we'll see how things go.
Surely it'll be a good race either way.
I'm going to get myself settled in for the race. You're going to give us the green F1 lap, correct?
Yes, unless Alberto shows up, I'll be giving the green.
Okay, well hopefully he'll show up and use some color to go with the excellent play-by-play he will provide. Thank you again for covering the series. Talk to you later, okay?
Sure thing. Enjoy the race.
Thanks.
User disconnected from your channel.
As I mentioned, Jason will also be racing tonight. He'll be driving the light blue number 16 McLaren. That was formerly driven by Jan Titz. And yeah, as Jason also said, 21 cars tonight with many of our usual contingent here. And when I looked at the qualifying session, there were groups of cars, but those groups were very, very close together. And it would seem like in the race as well, it'll be fairly close with groups, apart from, of course, David Yates, David Sable and Yves Placé, who is split up at the moment, but then we have a group of 2, 3, 4 cars there with Vidal, Lassina, Stur and Rion. And then there's a slight drop to well, technically a slight drop to 10, so it isn't that much, but looking at it, it should be a fairly close race. And I'll just cover you off for a moment here while I'll do the race briefing, so hang in there while we sort that bit out. Oh dear me, my apologies. I have a quick button set up that I should have moved, but anyway, it is how it is. But at least we have the race briefing done. Hopefully everyone will have understood the guidelines and suggestions, and hopefully we'll have a really good race coming up here in just a minute or two's time. And while we wait for the green flag to be given, moving to the race session, I'll also mention a couple of small things about the track. In its heyday, it had a capacity of 30,000 spectators, and it was open in the late 40s with the Breckenridge Dirt Oval, the oval that is now that on this 67-71 layout was paved and shortened from what it originally was. The road course itself opened in 1968 and debuted with the Can-Am race of that year. And as I mentioned earlier, it has also hosted Formula Atlantic's 1600s, 5000s, Trans Am and NHRA drag racing events. And unfortunately the facility is no longer around. It was closed in 1982 to open up for housing. And if you ever visit Edmonton, this track was located in the Cumberland and Hudson neighborhood / area of Edmonton. And also, incidentally, Edmonton didn't have any professional racing facilities until 1991, when the Capital City Raceway opened. But let's get back into the action. Where Yves Placé is on pole position, David Sabre second, Yakes third, Grant Ridol fourth, Boss fifth with Lacina sixth, Thiago Canola is one of driving seventh, David Junt eighth, Jason Whited ninth for Mochenbacher, and Gerard Riot rounds out top 10. Ryan Yannick lines up 11th with Peter Lavac 12th, Raoul Jereb lines up 13th with Gabriel Sturr 14th, Ridol Senior in 15th with Hackman 16th, Chapman with the BRM lines up 17th with Steve Parker 18th. Hopefully he'll be able to keep his engine in the car this round and have a good race. Jason White lines up 19th with Felipe Enrique 20th and Bruno Chacon in 21st. My apologies for not showing the cars themselves, but with me giving the green flag, I sort of need to be able to see the have the chat open, I'm afraid. I should have said line up, shouldn't I? Oh well. Hopefully they will be okay. Let's see. Now see, the green flag is out. It's looking very close indeed for the front row. Front four actually, everyone technically. Oh, as they go into... Oh, there's a bit of contact back there. I think they survived though. Oh, there's someone off in the grass. I believe that's one of the Mochenbacher cars. As Yves Placé is up on the earth banks in the barriers. So David Sabre takes the lead. Yakes second. Grant Ridol third. Oh, we have a bit of an accident. Oh no, it's Gerard Riot. I was hoping for him to have a good race, and it looks like Jason... No, that's not Jason White. That's Adam Hackman in trouble as well. Oh, he's way off the track. Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, let's see. David Sabre is in the lead, as I said. Heading into... I believe this is Meldau corner. Oh, and Johan Boss is on the side of the track as well. Looks like Yves Placé is struggling with a bit of damage. But heading on to the finish of the opening lap, we have David Sabre in the lead, followed by Jakes, Ridol, Junt, Lasina, Thiago Canola in 6th. Jason Whited being attacked by Brian Yannick for 7th. It looks like Yannick will take that position. Was Whited has a bit of a moment. Braking for the turn 1, 2, 3 complex. Oh, and it's unfortunately so that Adam Hackman is out of the race. Ooh, that's a very brave pass, but Yves Placé climbs a position in the field, as we have side by side for Jason White and Gerard Rion. Gerard Rion was one of those held up in the turn 1, 2, 3 for melee. But seeing as unless Alberto shows up, I'll increase the volumes just a tad, so that we can hear the engines just a bit more if we're lucky. Oh, and Jason White is out of the race. That's unfortunate. Oh, we went off in turn 1. There looks the things. No, that's not turn 1. Oh, it's up at Breckenridge Bend, I think. Just enters a little bit too quickly and rips the car to pieces on the barriers, unfortunately. That's a sad end for him to end his race, but hopefully he enjoyed the 2 or 3 laps he was able to complete before that accident. It looks like the field is fairly spread out, apart from this little battle here between Yannick, Whitehead, Jereb, Rideau and Hackman. Seems to be the closest battle on track at the moment. Whitehead's looking up the inside here in the last turn. He almost gets it up the inside, but he should actually not be able to pull alongside. Bit of a bad gear change from him, from I believe 2nd to 3rd to 1, 2, 3. Yes, the Jereb has a big moment on the brakes there. And into Parker's Bend, Parker's End is the right-hander here. And then we have the Somalian chicane coming up as Jereb and White is side by side. This could end in tears. Jereb takes the position. And into Breckenridge Bend, this left-hander. And Meldau corner up here. This slightly longer right-hander. Then Green Bank, this tightening right-hander. Then this left-hander up here is Taylor Turn, which is the last named corner of the track. And looking, as Grant Ridal has a big moment coming through the last corner. Looked very close indeed.
Hey.
Oh, hello there. Sorry, I didn't notice you joined. I noticed you, unfortunately, ended up out of the race.
Yeah, there's lots of distractions around me, but that's alright. Oh, Steve Parker's out of the race just now too, in a similar car to mine. So.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Not
that's
again.
how many? That's at least 2 retirements that we know about. But what happened with? I only saw it from my car. What happened to Yves?
Yves, I believe, entered. He was side by side with David Saber going through the left-right chicane in the opening bit of a race, so I'd assume he came sideways on the brakes and ended up in the barrier on the outside.
Man, he handed the David Saber a Christmas present early, because Christmas in July, because that basically gives him a golden opportunity to close in the championship if he has a good run here. But he's got to do it with David Jakes on his back bumper, and he's got Grant not far behind. So it's all the typical, barring Eves, it's all the typical fast guys up top here.
Indeed, and Jakes is actually putting Saber under pressure here. He mentioned to me before the event that he didn't want to get involved in the championship battle, but that's exactly what he is at the moment.
Well, I mean, you could look at that one of ways. You could look at it as he has little to lose. He can go balls out, if he wants, and he doesn't have a championship to protect. Although, good grief, Grant Riddall is harrying him as well. So, oh man,
that's
there.
Close.
Very close.
Grant right up behind as well.
See, this is the thing with Grant now on the outside. He might be able to make this stick. Oh my goodness, they're like locked together side by side. David does a great job of giving him room. And here they come into this corner. Actually, Grant may have the faster line around here. He does. There
quite, not just yet.
Oh, yeah, he's got it. The outside's the faster line there. And I got to say, very sportsmanlike of David Jakes. Gave him all the room in the world there.
Well, that's something you'll always get from...
Oh,
no!
Oh, Grant spins
dear
out.
to me. Oh, no!
Like a top. And he's impacted the barrier. Is he able to get going again? Oh goodness!
I believe he has I believe he has a puncture.
Oh goodness! Well, David Young is trying to attack David Jakes now in the wake of all that. They're coming down to turn 1 now.
Saber heads into the pits with a puncture, unfortunately.
Yeah, see, this is exactly what I thought would happen. David Jakes, he has a talent for handling unruly cars. And you can tell that autocoast is just right on the edge of adhesion. But he's able to be quick in those conditions. I mean, a lot of other people in this series and in this league, frankly, need a car that's perfect and that they can predict what's going to happen. But one of David's talents is he's able to take a car that's unruly and tame it. So that's exactly what this car needs.
Indeed, but unfortunately he was the one who caused that incident, I'm afraid to say. He just nudged the rear of Grant slightly. I can't tell if Grant was braking early or if or what else was going on, but it definitely looked like there definitely was contact. The question is how it happened, but there were contacts that caused Grant to spin. So I think Dave will probably be a bit unhappy with himself, disregarded of if it was completely his fault or a bit of a amalgamation.
I believe there's a factory McLaren in the pits right now.
Yep, that is David Saber getting the necessary repairs.
Man, well, any chance he had to, and he's right now with Yves Blasé, so I guess the one consolation would be if these guys are going to be this far back, it just means it'll kick the can of the championship down the road further. That's the best you can think of it. But these guys, I mean, I know Yves is probably thinking himself. He's could have had a death nail for the championship, and it's gone. And David had a chance to close in the championship, and that's gone. So these guys are going to be basically trying to, I mean, they are quicker cars than where they're going. I mean, Yves gets by Adam Hackman with relative ease. These guys are going to be trying to just pick up whatever table scraps are left in terms of points at the end.
Indeed, I believe you boss will want to have something to say in terms of keeping Yves behind him if he can get ahead of him, seeing as he's David's teammate here.
Maybe.
He was sitting just behind Yves earlier, so that's why I'm mentioning that now he has Hackman between himself and Yves, but if he can, I'm pretty sure he will want to help David in any way he can.
Well, Eames is 11th right now, which is outside of the points. And David lost a full lap after that contact, so he's all the way down in 18th place right now. So unless there's some massive attrition,
as you have both blasts by Hackman, thanks to that 8-liter Chevrolet power plant behind him.
one driver of particular interest in this race would be Tiago Canola, who gave up his full-time drive in order to drive Timo's car just for this particular race. So he doesn't. This is not a full-time drive for him. He's basically relegated to doing one-offs just so he has this opportunity, which is an expensive opportunity. But I don't know. Being that there's only 2 races to go after this one, maybe it's not as big of a deal. But he is in 4th place right now in the McCaig Racing M8E McLaren, making a very good showing. He's been very quick in this car all week long. The question now is, can he go 80 laps in this car?
Well, it's probably one of the better handling cars, and he's not that far behind Martin, so...
No, he's looking fantastic in this car. So, and this car is capable of winning too. We saw David Jakes win in this car, I believe, earlier in this series.
Yes, he won a race. I can't remember the exact.
Uh-oh, Grant Riddall is dropping down the list again. He's back in the pits, and we also have Brian Janik has made a pit stop, and he's all the way down into 18th now. So lots of early.
Grant did was he was nearly what he nearly did on the opening lap. He got sideways coming off the last turn and span into the pits. And he's actually retired now. He did hit the wall pretty hard when he span into David Saber, so could be carryover damage from that incident.
Well, U-Haul Boss just made it up to the points. He's in 10th place, closing very quickly on Ray Riddall, Grant Riddall's father, right in the back door of him right now. We'll see how... oh, he's going for the inside now.
Oh, dear me, dear. That's a bit naughty.
Well, it is a bit naughty. Frankly, he should be giving that back because he used a shortcut in large part to get that position.
Unless he may have felt that Ray moved over a little bit, and that's why he decided he had to take that time as to not hit Ray going up the inside. But as you said, he would probably have gotten him here anyway. So,
well, in any case,
he probably should have left that back.
There's Ibase just ahead of him.
And he is not that far behind. That's Yareb, I think, having a spin on opening turn.
Yareb is round, and he's dutifully waiting for. He's got some damage too on the left-hand side there. He's trying to get the car pointed the right way, but he's losing all kinds of time.
Indeed, but that's a really good job staying out of the way of everyone. And
yeah, he did it. He did an excellent job of reversing the traffic, which is something that we really frown upon in this league. Yeah, he did that was really well executed. So, good job not compounding the situation.
Let's have a ride on board here, see if we can pick up exactly what happened. Well, just a little bit late on the brakes, possibly. Looked like he did something similar in the opening laps as well, locking up the rears going in there. So it was right on the limit earlier on, and it compiled itself even more right there. And I'm happy to see, despite being involved in the opening lap melee in the turn 1 section, Gerard Rion is currently in the points and attacking Jason Whited for.
That's shocking to me that he's
for fifth
right now. That's amazing to me. I can't believe that.
Well, I'd assume that Lola is pretty well suited for this track, but
Well, historically, that car was really strange to drive. But I don't know. I mean, Gerard's an excellent driver in any car, but he seems to be making it work well for him right now.
Certainly has struggled earlier in the season, but maybe these slower corners is what he wants with this car.
David Jakes has got a good, healthy gap now between himself and David Yunt, and Martin Lessine is pretty. The top 4 cars really are well spaced, so they can focus on building a rhythm. The real battle that's going to develop here is Jason Whited and Gerard Rion. So we'll see if, I mean, bearing in mind that Gerard's car is probably carrying some damage with it. We'll see how if he can handle up Jason Whited.
Oh, there they are. Bruno Chacon coming through first. Yves Placé is also catching up to them, as is Juha Bols, so that could be a 4-way scrap in not too long a time. I must say it's a real pity that this track is no longer alive, so to speak, because it's a really nice track, despite it being very tricky with these cars, obviously.
I could see some people referring to this as a Mickey Mouse track, but
well, it depends on what kind of vehicle you're using, I'd say. The Atlantics was very nimble and very easy to drive around here in comparison to these beasts.
David Saber trying to make his way past Felipe Enrique, but Felipe Enrique is not making.
Oh no! They all made a mistake.
Oh no! He did. Shoot.
That's unfortunate. They were lapping.
Oh, and you see how dangerous that gravel is on the inside there.
They were lapping Bruno Chacon, and Gerard was slightly off the line, and I don't know if he was stressed by Yves Placé being right behind him as well, but he broke just a bit too late, locked up the tires, and reversed it up the earth banking. I don't think he picked up any additional damage from that, but a lot of time lost.
Man, that's a gift to Jason Whitehead, because it basically alleviates him from any pressure at the moment. The next car back is
well, he made a mistake as well, I think. Yeah, he must have done, because he's back behind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he lost. Juha Boss got ahead of him, and Yves Placé is up to 5th now. So.
Oh, he lost it slightly coming off. That looked very strange. I don't know if he got distracted or something, because he went off in Taylor turn, or ahead of Taylor turn, the left-hander leading onto the final chicane bit. So
I think that's one of the sleeper points at this track, is that it's very easy to get distracted by somebody else's problems.
That's very sporting. David Saber just moved way out of the way while being lapped here. Yes, I think I agree with you. It's a deceiving corner in itself, and it also tightens right on the exit just a little bit.
Here's Chacon again. Well, now Rion's able to get by him, and Hackman's now going to die. So Bruno's trying to make room. I'll grant him that. But,
well, it isn't easy around here. There isn't that much room to use.
And he's got that big, massive Arch 707, the only one of its kind in the race, which looks like about as wide as a Humvee.
And handles about the same as well, I'd say.
Yes, that is true. No.
Not to be unkind towards March, but that wasn't one of their best works.
Well, March has a pretty uneven history when it's to different formulae. Occasionally they'll do something brilliant, and then other times maybe not so much.
Another battle that has developed while it's all been going on is the Gabriel Stur versus Vidal Senior here. Oh
yeah, Gabriel Stur is a newcomer to HSO this particular year. He did a few starts last year, I believe. But he's one of these guys that's taken to this series really well. Now he's got Rion behind him too, so this is going to be a 3-car battle. So he may not have the downforce that the Lola in front of him has, and certainly he doesn't have the power that Ray Rudall has. Ray has got 8 liters in there. And of course, also Gerard Rion has 8 liters, and he's closing quickly, so he might actually do him on the straight here, although he was squirrely coming out of there.
A bit too eager to get on with it, I think.
Perhaps.
But of course, as we saw with Grant, it's definitely not easy getting through that final turn.
Gabriel was really taking advantage of the slipstream he got off Ray there coming into that corner. And he's got really good purchase coming off the corner here. Let's see what he can do.
The problem is that it's chicane up here, so it's not easy to pass.
Yeah, he can't really do much with this, but if he's handling better in these corners, he may be able to get Ray on the backside here. The question then becomes, will the 8 liters just nullify all of that work when they get to the front side?
Well, if he gets by up here in Meldau corner, this right hand, sorry, green bank, yeah?
No, he just didn't have the... Oh, shoot!
Oh dear.
See, he overcooked it there, got in too deep, and here comes Gerard trying to take advantage, but there just wasn't enough room. He was almost to the point where he was alongside. Oh, goodness! David Jakes is out of the race!
Oh, no!
I didn't see it, but I'm going to look at the replay here.
Oh, it's turn 1 again.
Coming down the long straight.
Oh
no! He ran into... What happened there? He ran into...
What's that?
Bruno Chacon.
Where did Chacon come from?
There. I don't know what happened there, but he just ran clear into him, and it looked as if he just appeared out of nowhere. I don't know.
Definitely seems like it. That looked.
Or it looks like Bruno was having an incident of his own, and hit a barrier and came back on the track. Let me see if I'm going to cycle through and look at his camera and see what happens here.
Was we have Jareb off in turn 1 in the meantime. But that elevates David Jun to the lead.
It appears... Okay, this looks really strange. At least as far as I can tell, there was some kind of bizarre off-course excursion that Bruno had, and the track deposited him in the middle of the straightaway. At least that's what it appears happened. I can't be certain based on lag. And it appears that he was just completely unsighted, David Jakes.
Yeah, I mean, the way it looked was that he just appeared right in front of him. I mean, at the speed he's going, there's no way to do anything. Barely even react, if even that.
That's incredible. I really wish... I mean, I'd like to look at the replay myself after the fact to see what precipitated that, because he would have had to have driven off the edge of the course or something in order to cause that. That's a strange one. That's got to be the strangest incident I've seen all year.
I think that's the strangest one I've seen in years.
Well, in any case, goodness, cars are just...
Well,
we're down to about a 16-car field now, so...
But with that, David Junt takes the lead of the race. Again, driving the quiet, not so spectacular race, but in the end ending up in the lead. Then it's Martin Lassina.
This has been David Junt's MO a lot of times. He just waits for things to develop in front of him, and then he moves up front. So, you know, hopefully he'll be able to keep his nose clean. And I think it's worth pointing out, I mean, I don't know what he was doing on his own offline, but he didn't start doing online laps until just today. So, this is a great deal about his skill level, that he's able to get comfortable that quickly.
He is one of those drivers that, because he does endurance racing, as Alberto has mentioned earlier, he's very good at driving consistently, if not maybe the quickest of everyone. He's usually one of the most consistent.
I find that one of the most useful ways of saying, like, if you wanted to say, okay, who are the best drivers in HSL? Like, just all around. all you have to do, well, just period, all you have to do is look at the top 5 finishers in the last few races, and if you see names that repeat themselves across series, that pretty much gives you the answer you're looking for.
Indeed.
Part of the challenge of racing in this league is that you race in a lot of different cars, and you have to be flexible. And the people that are good at that are the ones that continually have their name towards the top in a variety of series. And one of those names would be David Yunt. Another one would be Yves Poisset. David Jakes is up there quite a lot. Not today, obviously, but
he would have been up there if that strange occurrence.
We now have a factory McLaren battle going on with Yves, and Yves is just getting overtaken now by Juha for 4th place. But I don't think that we've seen the end of this battle. These two are very evenly matched, it seems. And after the incident that Yves had earlier, it's really remarkable to see him up here in 5th place again so quickly.
Indeed. And another one to take note of with David's retirement earlier is that Thiago Canola is up into the podium positions here.
Yeah, that's true.
And he was also moments ago putting pressure on Martin, so
well, he's getting closer to him now. He's picking up, and he has a better car than Martin has. The William Wonder split color car there is an M8C, and it doesn't have a sophisticated wing package as the M8E that Thiago's driving. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in 2nd place in a moment's time. We'll see.
Also back here,
Juha's actually now.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, Juha's opening up gap now to Yves Poisset, so maybe Yves is nursing some damage from the excursions he had earlier.
Considering he hit the barriers, I wouldn't be entirely surprised.
I think this is. I know,
he does have a little bit of damage here.
Juha has had some bad races in the last few weeks at HSO, and I think having a good finish in this race would do wonders for his confidence.
Ooh. What a pass! He does. Gerard, what a pass! That was beautiful. Gerard just put a move on Ray Riddle going into the turn 1-2 chicane.
His next target is Gabriel Sturr, which he's not too much further up the road. Jason Whited staying in 6th place, kind of by himself moment. Oh, and Adam Hackman is also to the... Oh, goodness! We have a... I believe there's an incident. Felipe Enrique went off the track, but he's rejoined. Hackman is now 10th, so he's into the points. And Raul Ureb is slowly falling his way back up the field. He's in 11th right now. But he's going to be nursing damage on that car.
Certainly, but he isn't that far behind anymore, so...
No. He's coming up on Brian Janik, but Brian has since been in the pits, so that's not a battle for position.
I'm sorry to have cut you off when you were making your point then, but that pass was...
No, that's fine.
Was looking very risky, to say the least. As Gerard looks really quick in the turn 1, 2, 3 braking zone. He really closed up on Gabriel Sturr through that.
Yeah, it really comes down to decelerating at just the right time, hitting the brakes at the time when it won't upset the car, excuse me. And if you have the springs balanced just right, the car will handle beautifully. Earlier when I was practicing, I was having a really hard time maintaining stability lap after lap. There was a crapshoot as to whether I'd be able to get through there. I made a spring change, a very minor one in the back, and it gave me just the stability I was looking for. So you have to have the car set up just right in order to get through there without incident.
And maybe even more so if you don't have wings on the car.
Yeah, if you have a lack
to
of...
give you that extra downforce.
Yeah. So Lucina, I mean, this is a testament to his driving ability. He's able to maintain the gap to Canola quite well. Proving me wrong as far as there being a battle soon with these two.
We will surely have a battle between Gerard and Gabriel, though. As again, look at that closing rate.
Now, and yeah, they're coming into the double right-hander here. Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, this is a case of. I mean, Gerard has superior power to begin with. I believe Gabriel's only got 7.6 liters, and Gerard has got 8. So, yeah, he's going to be looking for just the right situation here to set him up.
And it's not often you say that you have to say 7.6 liters isn't quite enough.
No, I mean it's good. In this series, the worst is having 7.0 liters because you basically get done in the straight like by people easily who have more power. All right, so basically Gerard's next opportunity here is going to be on this long straight, but he's a little far back. Closes up though under braking here. Let's see if he can get some good purchase coming out here. He's been a bit eager last couple of times. Comes off the turn. He has decent purchase. Now let's watch this.
Gabriel Stern machine. He got a really good run all the way through the exit. So he pulled a good 6-7 car lengths before Gerard was even on the throttle.
That's interesting. Look at that. He was, yeah, I mean, just because of that exit that Gabriel had, he was able to ward off any power overtake by Gerard. So clearly, Gabriel's got the car set up excellent.
Definitely for the exits. He is struggling a little bit on the braking compared to Rio, but
his car looks like a calm, still lake compared to Gerard's. Gerard's all over the place under braking, and Gabriel looks like, yeah, see, look at this. I mean, one false... Ooh, well, okay, there was a bobble for a minute from Gabriel, but Gerard is definitely walking a tightrope here with this car. Whatever damage he's incurred, he's probably having to learn how to drive it all over again.
With that being said, I believe Rio sort of likes a squirrely car in general, so from what I've seen in other series, obviously.
Okay, here's a chance for him here. See, yeah, Gabriel has another excellent exit off the corner. And now it's a drag race.
I mean, with such exits, it doesn't matter that he has a lesser engine.
Yeah, there's not enough time for Gerard to take advantage of it. They come into the left to right, into the right-hander here. Gabriel got a little bit loose there. Gerard has a chance to close.
Well, had he been just a little bit closer, like the laps before, he would probably have stuck his nose in there.
Possibly. I'd be interested to see what happens if, in fact, he does get by him, if he can then suddenly open a gap. I wonder if he's being held up. He doesn't appear to be being held up.
At least not by much, but having a car in front will put his car in a bit of a disadvantage because he wants the clean air for his wings to make the car work to its fullest potential. Especially for a corner like this one where it's a bit quicker.
I don't believe the Lola T60 is known for its front-end downforce. So, they had theories that they were trying with the car that didn't pan out.
Well, then again, if he has little downforce on his own, then he will have none with a car in front.
Oh boy! So David Yund is coming up on Felipe Enrique here. Let's see if he makes it easy for him to get by. Well, he doesn't let him by there.
He does here though.
Okay, he gets in the inside here without much trouble. So, yeah, he's got a good gap to Martin at this point. So, I think Martin's best is going to be, and because his car is not on the same level as David's, I think Martin's best bet now is to just keep trucking along, and hopefully they'll, his best bet will be that something happens to David. But given his peerless driving this year, I doubt that's going to happen. We'll see. Well, we didn't think there'd be an issue for Eames, and we didn't think there'd be an issue necessarily for David. So this has been kind of an odd race for them.
And unfortunately, in third position, we now have Juha Boas. Thiago Canola slipped down to fourth. Possibly due to a small mistake, because he's far...
Just, leaving. Juha's gone too, he's checked out, so...
I'd expect Thiago's made a slight mistake somewhere, because he's much further behind Martin than he was before. And now of course he has the Ferrari behind him as well, so...
Oh boy.
That won't be easy to hold off either.
Hard enough to concentrate around this track. It's even harder when you got 12 cylinders breathing down your neck.
Indeed. Just that sound puts chills down your spine, doesn't it?
Well, it just sounds different than anything else out there.
Which is why it's so beautiful.
Eames is having his own... Well, I think there he was swinging wide just to take a wider arc into that corner. Here comes Thiago. Actually, Thiago is closing a bit now in Juha. So this battle may not be over yet. We'll see. Coming into the last turn.
And it might be the engine difference here as well. I don't believe Thiago has this 8-liter engine.
No, he does not. And there goes Juha. Bye-bye. So it's a... it's not as big as the differential between the 7.6 and the 7.0, but it's significant enough for Juha to pull away. Let's see if Thiago is able to close again on the backside here. That might give us an indication of how Juha has his car set up. He's certainly locking it up going into these corners. There's a chance he's got it set up for straight line speed rather than cornering speed. One of the interesting tidbits about the M8F, one thing you notice about it compared to other McLarens of the era is that the wheels are actually tucked into the bodywork, and that wasn't by design. What they ended up doing was widening the bodywork to get more downforce for the car, and it was too big of a tear up to increase the wheel track, so they just left the wheel track the way it was, widened the body. So that's why you have those tires way inside.
That's a bit sort of feels like, wouldn't that cause it to flip over? But
no, they were
the extra downforce is enough to keep it.
They were more interested in increasing the real estate up top and the fence along the sides to just make that car one big giant wing. As much as they could. It's funny how, that's a very different aerodynamic concept than what you see on most cars these days. It's like all these little tiny appendages, little bitty stuff. Oh goodness! Enrique has an off right in front of Thiago, or must have given Juha a bit of a start too. So now Thiago's going to try to get by. Oh! Okay, manages to get by there, but man, it's funny because
I believe that Porsche is a bit difficult to drive.
I don't know. I mean, I've tried driving the 917 PA before, and at least you would think that it would be easier to handle in these corners. It would certainly not be quick down the straight, but it's certainly not an unruly car. So I don't know. It just it could be just the highly technical nature of this track that's catching Philippe up today. It certainly caught me out. I'm looking at it this way. I won't have to shower later today.
Technically you could just walk outside them, considering the weather situation.
Yeah. So we're at 30 laps complete now. And it's pretty smooth sailing for David and Martin Lucino. It's going to be interesting to see if Juha can reel in Martin. Tiago's keeping relatively close to Juha, but not close enough to mount a challenge.
Well, for now it seems like he can at least keep Yves at a reasonable distance from himself.
For the moment, yes. Yeah, Yves seems to be able to maintain that that distance without too much trouble, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Jason Whited is pretty much running by himself right now. Well, he's got. Oh, Gabriel starts closing a little bit, and Gerard's right behind Gabriel, still harrying him. You've got Ray a little ways further back, and then way further back is Adam Hackman. Oh, Raul Ureb is off the track again, but he's back on again. David Saber has gotten himself up to 13th position now, so he has the potential to claw his way into the points and minimize the damage of having Yves finish ahead of him in the points. So it's going to be critical for him if he can find 3 more positions there, even just 1 point. I mean, you just want to do something to mitigate the distance that Yves is going to pull out.
Indeed, considering he's already 9 points behind, he sort of needs to at least score some kind of points to keep championship alive, really.
The only conflict. Okay, well, Yves is still. Yves looks like he's reeling in Thiago slowly, not particularly quick, but slowly. We have a rather novel trivia question for everyone today.
We do indeed, and considering it's somewhat quiet on track, let's bring that up for you all to have a thought about for the rest of the race. As the question is, which drag racing movie was primarily filmed at Edmonton International Speedway? Was it A, Fast Company, B, Two-Lane Blacktop, or C, Snake and Mongoose? And I must say I had no idea when I read the question, so technically I can't ask for your opinion because you came up with the question.
Yeah, I can't anticipate. So okay, now well we'll come back to that later. Yves is now right up with Thiago. So we'll see if he can force Thiago into making some kind of a mistake here.
It's difficult to tell. I haven't raced enough with Thiago to know how easily he cracks under pressure or how he drives, so this will be an interesting one to watch.
Thiago this is the first time he's had really decent equipment in a race. I mean, there hasn't been many situations where he's had cars of this caliber. So it is kind of unknown territory for him. Looks like Yves definitely has got beat on the straight to catch up to him.
Well, with the slipstream, yes.
Slipstream has definitely helped. They come into the double right-hander.
We did sort of see that at I believe it was Donnybrook, where Yves held on to David Saber's car for quite a while down the massive front stretch of that track until he dropped after a slight mistake, and then he just couldn't catch up.
I thought of one other thing that we could talk about if things get too quiet in the race. Goodwood. Anything that you saw that you thought was interesting, and things that I saw that I really liked. So
I actually didn't watch it, so I have no idea what went on now.
oh,
I'm afraid.
all right. Well, then it'll be a monologue during which you can just go.
Because I didn't even know it was on, so...
You didn't know it was on?
No, there's no news of that in Sweden, so...
Good grief.
Sweden is a bit off the grid. Unfortunately, when it comes to racing.
Well, you know what, actually, I could see some advantages to that. This is nice. Being off the grid in a way can actually be good.
In some regards,
like,
yes, but stuff like Le Mans and Goodwood would be nice to have news about.
What about Canadian football?
Never heard of that at all.
Okay.
I'm afraid. I know they play football, but that's about it.
Alright, so Eves is getting, I believe actually, oh, let's go back here. The battle between Gerard and Gabriel is broken off a bit. There's a little more space between the two of them. But Eves is in an excellent position to strike here. They're coming up on, I believe that's Mick Chapman. Yes, in the BRM, who's having kind of a quiet race right now. That car is really, that's another one that's unwieldy to drive.
Well, it depends how you drive it. I found it to be pretty nice to drive.
Well, you also like the, you also like the Kenyan Coyote and USAC.
Indeed.
So, you know,
Indeed.
There's no.
I have no say in the matter.
I just, there should be an asterisk next to when you say this car is good to drive, and there should be like an asterisk should say
doesn't mean it's actually good to drive nor that it's fast.
The views and opinions expressed by Jonatan Åcerclinth are not necessarily those of most racing drivers.
Quite. Well, that's part of why when we raced a version of the Touring Legends mod for a couple of years, I was for 2 years the only and then one of two drivers to drive the Ford Mustang.
Well, you might have another shot, the Canyon. We're going to use the same car set for the Pocono 500.
Oh, beautiful. And that's a good track as well. Time to not qualify.
Well, there's no, there won't be. I mean, we're going to limit this, the entry to 33, I believe, but qualifying at least won't be so ridiculous and laborious. Well, I got to say, hat to Tiago. He's basically rebuffed all of Eves' attempts under his skin.
At least so far.
Yep. We're coming up on half distance in this race, actually. Another 5 laps and we'll be at 40.
Very impressive. It's been half the race. Feels like it should have been a lot longer. And I'm not even in the race.
Yeah. Oh man, he's, well. Oh, did you see that? Eves held his...
Oh dear me, it was way too late on the brakes.
No! I was just going to say, Eves held his accelerator down a little longer. He's probably wishing he had now, but oh, look at this. Masterfully staying on the...
Well, he had practice of that on lap 1, so...
on the grass ribbon, and he didn't... Well, that... Now he's got... who does he have behind him here? I don't believe this is for position. That's that's Chapman, so...
Sorry, Chapman.
That's not for position, but there goes that opportunity.
Well, at least for now, but that would have allowed Juha Boos to open up a massive gap to Tiago.
Yeah, Juha's now. Juha's got massive amounts of
and Eves surely won't want to do many more of those, because that could just as well have been him out of the race entirely. Had he not got it slowed down so much while he was still on the tarmac. Because as we've seen, there ain't that much runoff out there once you end up on the grass.
No, there isn't, and I think the other thing that happens is you have the car doesn't slow down when it gets on the grass. It just keeps going.
Because of the weight, especially.
Because of the weight and so we have 15 cars running at point. That would mean 7 retirements.
It's actually lesser than I would have expected.
Actually, wait, hang on. Let me think. No, that would be 6 retirements.
That's even less than I would have expected. I would have expected around 10 by now.
No.
Just because of how tricky the track is.
Well, we'll see what happens late in the race, because that's when people's mental acuity will start to really degrade, along with the tires. The less fuel that's in these cars, the more unruly they are planted. So you might see some people get up in that. We'll see.
Indeed. So I'm just taking a moment to ride on board with David for a lap here, see how hard or not hard he's pushing here. Somewhat sideways going through 3 and 4.
Driving the car of the late Todi Adamowicz, also known as A2Z.
Doing a damn fine job of doing so as well. Having already picked up 1 win this season on the car.
Yeah, if he keeps going, I mean, 2 wins in this series is a great achievement, I think. And he's using every inch of track there. He takes it right down to the white line, back up to a little bit onto the grass there, but he's using every inch that he can. Just skimming the white lines there, beautiful. He's doing a great job in this car.
Indeed, and look at that, getting the line exactly right to get on the throttle early going onto the front straight. Now we ran a little bit wide though, but you don't want to do that either though, running wide there, because like what I come to mind with immediately is Kelvin Burt running the Volvo in 1997. The S40, he ran wide coming out of turn 1 at Alton Park, and ending up with the left side tires on the grass, and the car immediately snapped right and into the barriers.
I didn't notice this before, but Lucina is running with a bit of damage on it. He must have had some kind of an incident early on that we missed.
Yeah, I'd assume it would have been on the opening lap, because
most likely
there were a lot of cars in too little of space.
Meanwhile, we have some reaction from the forum to this race. Peter Hlavik says, "Well, that was fast and really special indeed. I slightly hit Gerard, who was stuck at the bank and facing the other direction. What happened after that was really weird. My car got literally stuck beneath the road surface and horrible lag. Obviously couldn't continue." So there's another odd exit to the race. Sounds similar to what we may have witnessed with Bruno Chacon.
Indeed.
So, and this is a very old build, this Edmonton track, so it's not inconceivable that there are a few holes out there that are not readily apparent.
And there's also, as you mentioned, the not wide enough timeline for sector, I believe it's sector 2.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody's succumbed to that yet. I haven't seen anyone succumb to it, at least.
Indeed, but that's another proof of it being a slightly older track, I feel. That they didn't make it wide enough in case someone ran wide. The sort of old saying of, well, if you're not on a racing surface, you shouldn't be racing. Sort of mentality maybe when they created it. Which is usually held by those who don't race that much, because they don't understand that you can actually run wide if you're pushing.
Armchair observations. Okay, well, the closest battle on the track at the moment is between.
Oh no! Ooh.
What happened?
Oh, Martin Lassini just hit Felipe Enrique on the start-finish straight. Wasn't entirely sure what happened there, but that looked very strange. Oh, just as Felipe changed up a gear, and that slowed him down, and Martin wasn't prepared for that, and he made contact with him.
Goodness.
That's a bit. That's actually a bit bad on Martin's side, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but hopefully Felipe has been able to continue.
He's continuing, but
that's good to see.
As I was saying before, that the closest battle on the circuit, if you can call it that, right now is between Ray Riddall and Gerard Rion. They're relatively close together, and I don't believe that Ray has been involved in any off-course excursions.
He usually stays on track and stays very consistent as well.
Ray is a very consistent driver, and he's had some good finishes with this car in the series. So here he is now sizing up Gerard, and we've seen that Gerard's car is a handful at this point. So we'll see if he's able to. The problem is the 222 Lola is kind of big and ungainly, but we'll see if he's able to sweep by here. Well, these cars don't have much in common other than their similar colors.
Well, in the engines, I believe both have the 8-liter.
Oh, that's right. That's correct. They're both 8-liter Chevrolets. You're right.
I noticed that when I was looking through the sign-up list and all that, and checking the specs, and I noticed, hold on, Ray has an 8-liter.
Yep.
Wow. Because I'd expect the lower teams not to have the best engine, but apparently
it's not as readily apparent who has the fastest, the most powerful Chevrolets. Now he's getting closer here on the backside as they come up to last turn. Let's see if he get good purchase off of here.
I believe you're on replay because they are on turn 2 and 3 now.
Oh.
But he was in the slipstream, so we got a little bit closer to Gerard that time around.
Yeah, okay, I'm back live now. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay, I've been on replay a couple of times as well. Early on in the race. Oh, Gerard!
Gerard gets loose. Okay, this is a golden opportunity for Ray.
Unfortunately, Ray was a bit sideways as well, probably distracted by Gerard being all over the road.
Possibly.
But these two, I believe, are the oldest racers we have in this race.
Oh! Gerard gets on the... I think it's just I think definitely Ray has the better car in this scenario, just based on how the race has progressed. So it's to his advantage to just wait for an opportunity.
Indeed.
I don't think he needs to press Gerard too much, but Gerard's doing a great job of hanging onto that car, regardless of.
Both of them are really sideways coming onto the start finish straight.
Sideways exiting the final turn down the drag strip. Ray is able to.
I hope they'll pardon the pun, but Ray, being an old fox, I think he knows he can wait out Gerard to make a mistake here.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a lot of the younger drivers we have; they have two settings, on or off. And these are the guys, you know, like Gerard and Ray, that know that it's better to let a race develop and see what happens.
Indeed.
And curiously enough, I think it benefits them in oval racing, because if there's yellows, that definitely plays into that mentality.
Indeed.
Of waiting, and oh goodness, Ray has a loose moment there, but able to stay. Yeah, we could see a pass here at some point, but Yeah, these are two guys who know the value of not playing your entire hand early in the race.
I wouldn't want to be on the grass like Ray just was though, that's a bit dangerous. I noticed both of them much more careful coming onto the start with the straight that time round. Making sure not to get sideways. And a lot of tire smoke.
Yeah, Jera is really, that's another distract that can be really troubling when you come into a braking zone and you're trying to look for your apex or you're trying to focus on what you're doing. Excuse me, but you got that tire smoke, kind of breaking up your concentration.
Indeed. That's why it's also when you race in the rain, it can be very difficult to see what you're doing because you don't just have the general racing situation with keeping tracks of all the cars and the track and all that. You have the water both coming from heaven when it's raining, of course, and the spray being kicked up by other cars. So
Yves Poisset is now closing in on Thiago.
Owen is actually looking up the inside here.
Yeah, he's looking up the inside of him now, so we could see a pass here for 4th place. Closing in. This isn't the place to go, this switchback. This is a one-groove section of the track. Doing this left-hander here, now they up to this kind of boot-like section.
Yeah. Meldau corner. Now into green bank. See if he can get a good run coming out of here and maybe make a move into next.
Look at them both taking that wide approach into that corner. They've learned the fast way around there, both of them. You would think that on the back, I mean, that F Ferrari has got excellent traction, so he's able to keep pacing really well. We'll see what happens when they come onto the straight here. Slipstream plus 12 cylinders.
Beautiful run out of the corner by Thiago.
Yeah, Thiago's doing an excellent job.
Here's the slipstream.
But look at the closing rate of Yves. They're coming down the straight. Oh my goodness, he's closing hand over fist. But then the problem is he gets to the end of the straight, he really can't do much with it because they have to go into this left-right combination. Yves very correctly lifts.
But he's really quick in 3 and 4. And Thiago on the grass, this could open up an opportunity.
Oh, there he goes, down the inside. He's taken the line away. So he should be able to, yeah, he takes over 4th place. Thiago did the right thing there because he had lost the inside line. And you really can't go side by side through there, so he did the right thing, letting him go, waiting for another opportunity here. So Yves Poisset is now up to 4th place.
That was a nice move, but I would say you can go side by side through there, but you will have to expect to pick up your car parts coming out the other side.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to end up on the other side... Okay, this is interesting. Thiago's had an off now.
Probably trying a bit too hard to retake the position.
Yeah. So he's back on track now, but then valiant effort on his part to stay in 4th place. But Yves, I guess, had the better car in this situation.
Indeed, and behind Ray has gotten by Gerard as well. So unfortunately for Gerard, that damage that he owes, I also noticed that Hackman is in the barriers pretty hard. Down in Taylor Turn, I believe this is. It looks like he may be... Don't think he has a running engine, so that may be... No, he actually...
From where I'm looking, it looks okay. He's probably got some damage, but...
He jumped on board for a second, it didn't seem like he had... Oh, he... looking at the replay, he locked up, got the rear end loose, tried to correct it and it overcorrected and... fairly slow spin in the end into the barriers.
Well, that allows David to pick up another position. He's in 12th. So,
And only the straight behind.
yeah. But looking at the situation right now, if the race were to end, oh goodness, let's see. Thought I saw a change of position, but I was wrong. If the race were to end now, David Yunt would have his would get all 20 points for the win. And points chart here just for my own reference, and that would put him at 78 points.
So 29 points ahead.
I'm thinking of David Yunt winning.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. He would have 78 points. Eves, being in 4th place right now, would attain 10 points, and that would put him at 98. David Saber then would be basically 19 points behind, assuming he didn't score any points. So, did I get the arithmetic somewhat right there?
Yes, that would be, if he scores 10 points, that would be, so that would mean 19 and 20 points ahead of nearest challengers in the championship.
So it
if
would
it's
really
as
take,
it is.
It would take huge failures from Eames in the next couple races to not win the championship, but it's imperative for David to try to get some points here. Oh, he's off the track as we talk about him.
I noticed I had the points up, but I'll bring up the replay. I think he just locked up a little bit, trying to...
This is what I'm talking about. I mean, we're just past half distance. We got about 30 laps to go for the front runners, and this is the part of the race where you get into a situation where you could be, oh goodness, Gerard Rion has dropped way down the order now. He's in 10th place, so he had an incident somewhere.
Indeed, and Jareb has made his way past his teammate Whited again.
That's a great recovery from Raul after the incidents he had earlier. And Ray is up to 7th place now. Gabriel Stur is 6th.
Indeed, that's also a very nice recovery. He was out, I think he was like 15th or 14th in qualifying.
I'm not at all surprised, though, to see Gabriel up, because he's a great driver in this series, and he had decent speed in practice in this car.
Indeed, and he proved at Watkins Glen that he can battle hard. He had a long race battle with Ray there to pick up a, I believe it was a top 6 or top 8 finish. But unfortunately, it looks like all the battles have sort of spaced themselves out again.
Yep, that happens. I don't know if I mean, you said you hadn't watched Goodwood, but I watched it over the past weekend, and there was such an amazing array of stuff. One thing that I was really heartened to see, they had on Saturday some of the quicker cars going up the hill. One of them was the Volkswagen electric Pikes Peak car. Oh, wait a minute. Well, hang on. Hackman is out of the race, so I guess he either had another incident. Let's see. I'm looking at the replay now. Oh, I think I know what happened here.
Turn
Yeah,
1-2 again.
Runs. Yeah, he runs and spins out and goes up onto the barrier, and he got stuck. So there goes Adam's race, unfortunately. But the electric Volkswagen Pikes Peak car, which was nutty to watch, set an incredible time up the hill. Second fastest was a Neo electric car, which had set really good times at the Nordschleife before. And
oh no, David spins again, having just passed Hackman. Well, hopefully he won't get stuck there. Okay, he keeps going.
Well, this is a chance for David's now up to 12th. See if he, yeah, man, David's having a tough time down in that section. Oh, Chapman was lucky to not hit him there. He did leave an inside lane open, but man, that's rough. And Yuha got by as well. Maybe I'll get it out this time. Third fastest on that Saturday was a 25-year-old Penske PC22 Chevrolet. Former Roger Penske Marlboro Penske, and it went up the hill, and it was just back end hanging out, and just that classic, you know, IndyCar turbocharged sound, and it made it up the hill, third fastest that day.
It must have made your heart swell, didn't it?
Oh, I loved it. And this is the car. This car was, you know, this is 1993, the year that Nigel Mansell came over.
Oh yeah.
So it was an ex Fittipaldi Penske.
He was going quite well that year. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's amazing that a car of that vintage can hold its own against state of the art.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was quite interesting to see.
Well, I haven't watched Goodwood in quite a while, but one I do remember seeing was the run of the, I believe it was possibly the Subaru team's, may not have been, but sort of the Dakar station, sort of, whatever you'd call them, the house bus, as we would say in Sweden, like a big Dakar 4x4 massive thing, just drifting all over the place, trying to get up that hill.
Okay, we do have one battle here that's worth watching. David Saber is now right up with Mick Chapman, and this is a battle for position.
Indeed, and he may do what he did last time round and just wait for the long straight.
Well, here he goes. He's coming. He's looking down the inside, but Mick is like, you know, you may be in the factory of McLaren, but I'm not going to make it easy for you.
That BRM are pretty good on the brakes as well.
Now, and I believe these guys both have 8-liter power. I could be wrong.
I'm not sure the BRM does.
Maybe it's 7.6. I don't know. But in any case, David goes up to 11th, so now his next target is Gerard. So, I mean, 1 point may not seem like much, but we don't know what's going to be happening in the next 2 rounds. So, all David knows is he wants to minimize the damage of having Eves finish in 4th.
Indeed, just look at, for example, the 1998 World Rally Championship, where was it 97 or 98? Tommy Mäkinen won the championship by 1 point ahead of Colin McRae, simply because he managed to finish 6th in the final rally of the season. Had he finished outside the points, they would have ended up on equal points, but Colin McRae would have had more wins.
Every point counts. Unfortunately for David, he's got quite a distance to make up to Gerard Rion if he wants to challenge for that position. It's a long, long way. He's a full straightaway behind. And more, actually.
The good thing for him is that Gerard has caught up with Ray again, so that this could be a reimbursed battle right here.
Possibly. Yeah, he's right with him again here. See if he can make any inroads. Ray runs a little wide, and he's having trouble getting the power down.
That's actually a lap between these two now.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, apparently there is. So Gerard must have lost a lot of time with that, whatever mistake he had earlier when he dropped back. Because he's a full lap behind Ray now.
No, you're right. This is... it's got to be somewhat awkward, because he's clearly running a little faster than Ray.
Could be that he has new tires, possibly.
I don't know. I didn't see it.
Who was... Felipe Enrique has a spin trying to get out of the way. Gets going once again.
Oh, Brian Janik is coming up. He gets by Mick Chapman, but that's not a pass for position.
Yeah, it is. It is. No, sorry, there isn't one more lap.
No, it is not.
Sorry.
That puts him now in the same lap as Mick. Jason Whitehead has had an off just now, and that actually causes Gerard to go up one position. So this is what I figured would happen towards the end of the race. The changes in position that are happening are from people making mistakes.
Well, looking at how loose Jason Whitehead is driving that car, his rear tires are completely gone.
Well, that's the rub. I mean, if you have a car set up that it's going to spin wheels coming out of corners, you can't expect the tires to be fully there at the end of the race.
Wesley has another one. Of course not. It's why I generally set up cars a bit understeery.
You know who's smiling in this instance? David
Sabre, I think.
Because there's a chance here that he could get 1 point out of this if Jason continues to have issues.
Indeed.
Not that he would wish ill will on anybody, but it's point. He's just trying to, as I've said before, mitigate damage.
Certainly.
I think it's still very remarkable that Eaves is running fourth at this point. I mean, when you have an incident like he had early on, it is very hard to recover from something like that, not just physically, but mentally. You have to put it behind you and not think about it and just keep driving. And he's clearly been able to do that. He's fourth right now. That's an amazing recovery.
Gerard Rio, sorry to cut you off, just did a Kelvin Burt, ran just a tad bit wide coming out of turn 4, Parker's End, and span up the tires on the grass.
And that caused Jason Whitehead to go up one position, so now Gerard's down to 10th. They've still got a ways to go to either of those guys.
Indeed, but as you oh, actually, the battle for second is on again. Oh, sorry, third, I mean.
Oh yeah, that's true. Eaves is closing in on Juha again. Hackman is now officially out of the race. I guess he hung around in the garage a little bit to see what's going on, but he has now officially left the server. Ooh, Eaves is right with Juha now. See if he's able to get him on the... His next opportunity really is on the long straight. He's not going to be able to do anything down here. It's too risky, but it's all about getting the power down coming out of this last corner. Looks like both have excellent exits. You can see a little bit of wheel spin there on the inside wheels for Eaves. Let's see what his closing rate is like.
Probably not quite as high as it was with...
No, not nearly as much as it would have been with Thiago earlier. Yeah, they both come in here. These cars are pretty evenly matched, I would say. Oh! We have another development here. Jason Whitehead has had another off.
Look quite far off as well by the looks of things.
He may have just succumbed to the problem that we were talking about with that timing beacon. I hope I'm wrong. But in any case, that has promoted David Sabre to 10th place, and 1 point is what you get for finishing 10th. So he is now, if he can keep going, he will at least finish in the points. Maybe more if anything further happens up the road.
Indeed.
So that means that his gap that he would have to E plus A would be 18. To E plus A would be about 18 points.
Indeed, but that also depends on if Eaves gets by Juha Boos here.
Yeah, it's true. Whitehead is retired from the race.
He hit the barrier quite hard, so...
He did, so now we have 15 cars running. Or 13, actually.
It was unfortunate. It looked like he was loose as soon as he got onto the brakes going into the chicane, so... Not much he could do about that one.
This battle between Eaves and Juha is... I mean, this is going to be a good scrap to close out the race, because these two, I mean, they're both nursing damaged cars, it's obvious. Juha's got a dent in the right front, of his car, and there's a dent, a pretty noticeable one on the left side middle of Yves's Ferrari. So these two are definitely not going to have the best of steeds underneath them, but we'll see who comes out on top here.
It sort of proves the caliber of the drivers in the cars when we say they are nursing damage and they're sitting third and fourth in the race.
Yeah, that's further of the kind of caliber they are. So yeah, assuming that Yves finishes fourth, that means that the gap between David Saber and him would be 8 points. So, not an insurmountable amount, because we have 4 races to go, and you get paid 20 points for a win. So if Yves had some kind of a catastrophic failure, it's conceivable that David can still win the championship, but a very unlikely set of events would have to happen.
It of course also opens up for Jonatan with an outside chance with having 20 points up to Yves as well.
Yeah, it does give him an outside chance. A very, very outside chance, but still. Looks like we've got a bit of a stalemate here with Yves and Juha. These two are pretty much... I think they're kind of feeling each other out right now.
Also be that Yves just wanted a bit of clean air to... Juha is very wide, but Yves got sideways on the inside, so status quo. It's possible that Yves wanted just a bit of clean air to calm down the tires as he's trying around outside.
Going around the outside, I think might have happened to Juha there, because that was quite a dramatic turn of events there. Let's look at
See
that
what happens on the straight here, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Juha just had
Yves hit
trouble
outside
putting the power
barrier.
down there. Hmm?
Yves hit outside barrier in the last turn. And here comes Juha with that McLaren power, not quite enough to pull up alongside, I don't think. We may just be up there. No, okay.
He's too far back, And the problem there is, too, if you're too far to the inside, you're taking the really wrong line going in there. Yeah, you're right. Yves did glance that outside barrier. So Yves is up to 3rd place now, and 3rd place pays 12 points.
And so if you can hear me drinking, but I need to keep my fluids to a decent amount. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, that puts another complexity on the championship as well, because that means...
It certainly does. That would bring Yves' point total to an even 100.
Wow.
Yeah, and with 1 point for 10th place, that would bring David's total to 80. So there would be an even 20 points between them if things were to end the way they are right now.
And of course, then 22 to David Junt. And of course, I'd call it an alien chance for David Yates if he wins 2 races in a row with Yves scoring near to no points.
Well, you got you got one of the more difficult races coming up for the second to last one of this series, which is Laguna Seca, and it's the older version that doesn't have the inner loop.
Ooh, that's a fantastic circuit.
It's a fantastic circuit, but it's incredibly tricky, and it shares one commonality with this track, in that the road surface is very narrow, and the margin for getting something wrong there or getting it right is even smaller, because there's no runoff at all in some of those turns. There's just a guardrail there. And then, of course, you have the corkscrew. We could... Oh! David Saber spins around. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's Juha. Juha spins around, and he loses a position to Tiago. Tiago's up to 4th place now.
Oh, and Tiago almost runs wide in amazement of being back up in 4th position here. And he actually isn't that far behind. Whereas he runs wide again though.
Yeah, I think Juha's tires are starting to go towards the end here. Yeah, he's having real problems putting the power down.
We saw that David has been having this similar issue going through 1, 2, 3 for quite a while, so I think you're right in regards to the tires.
Yeah.
Was
So
he's running wide
laps are complete. We're getting close to the end of the race here. There's 19 laps to go at this point. David having a very, very leisurely drive at this point, at least from what we can tell.
I'd expect him to not be pushing that hard. Because I think he knows that the guys behind him ain't quite as quick, so unless he sees someone really starting to close in, I don't think he'll try to get anywhere near the utter limit of the car.
No, there's no need to.
Although he has proven he can do it. Especially when we won the endurance race at Mugello last year, where he pulled out a massive lead in the first half of the race, and all I had to do was keep the gap.
Yeah, David's ability to maintain concentration is really boggling to me at times.
Then again, he can do the mistakes as well. They did one in that same championship, the endurance once at Silverstone. Going into the final chicane of Silverstone, if I remember correctly, he managed to lock up the tires and slammed into the retaining barriers between where nowadays they run through from Luffield to Cops. So in case David wins, I've now put him back on the ground. Sorry, David. But yeah, it looks like David Sabre in the meantime is really closing in on Gerard Riot here. He's only a second and a half behind Gerard now.
Oh yeah, that's right. He is. He's getting close. So he has a chance of getting another point here. What might have been? I mean, I'd have to go back and look at that incident again with Jakes, and I didn't actually physically see it. How was? Can you explain how Sabre got involved in that incident?
No, Sabre wasn't involved in that particular incident. He was caught out by the Grand Bridol incident where he got tapped in the rear, span off.
That's the one I'm referring to.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I couldn't tell if Grant broke earlier than what David Yates expected, or if it was a gear change or whatever caused it. But it looked like for some reason Grant slowed down just a little bit, and that was enough because David Yates was so close behind that he tapped him, and that unsettled the car, and he span off on the inner field and span across the inside of the track. And of course, I don't think David Sabre saw it coming at all, since he was already in the corner when it started. So it's I don't know if you watch V8 Supercars at all, the Australian Championship.
I need to watch that more because it is great.
Because I believe it was 4 or 5 years ago now, Alexandre Prémat, the Frenchman, had a puncture coming through on Phillip Island. You have the long sweeping left-hander, and then you have the right-hand hairpin cutting back on the track, and he had a puncture in the left-hander and went off onto the gravel and just locked up and tried to make the car.
Oh,
halted.
David's having another incident here. Oh no, he's in the well.
Well, that's
There goes
unfortunate.
there goes his chance to try to pick up 9th place.
Well, at least
I
the
think
positive thing for him is that he will at least not lose 10th with that spin alone.
True, but I think what happened there is there was kind of an awkward placement of Felipe Enrique's car, and it was just enough for him to upset his balance.
Indeed. But I finished my point. Alexander Perma ended up wide in the left-hander, and because of that he was going for the middle of the hairpin, and it was on a restart, so everyone was bunched up, so he had no option but to slam into the cars going through the hairpin, and he hit a car so hard that that car left the road. The tires lifted the tires of the car he hit off the road. Caused quite a bit of damage and broke the right leg bone between the knee and the hip of the driver in the car he hit.
Goodness.
And it's sort of a similar situation with how Grant hit David here, but he hit him further back in the car compared to where Premar hit the car in the real life Phillip Island incident. It was in 2013 and he hit James Courtney in one of the works Holden cars. For anyone who wants to have a look at that incident if they are so inclined. Whereas David takes a lot of the left hand side of the grass going through 1 and 2 there.
Yeah, he's clearly his car is clearly not performing as good as he'd like it to at this point.
And he's possibly a little bit frustrated as well with
how
the race has come to be here.
Yeah, I think that's the other part of it. Is he realizes that the championship hopes are starting to slip away.
And unfortunately, through no fault of his own, which I think is the worst part for him.
Yeah, that's another good point. He was an innocent bystander in that impact, and so it's yeah.
Because I've sort of always felt that as long as it's my own mistake taking me out of the race or a championship or whatever, oh well, it's my mistake. It's what it is. I overdid it, or I tried too hard, or whatever. But
I look at it the opposite way. If someone kicks me out of the race, then I'm like, oh well, at least now I don't have to make excuses for my driving. You can look at it one of two ways. Do you want to do the trivia answer, since we've got the kind of a lull before the end of the race here?
Yep, certainly. Let's just try to find someone on the start-finish straight so that we can get that nice little camera angle. And of course no one on the start-finish straight, so there were one, so let's do this. There we go. And so, to remind you all of what the question was, which drag racing movie was primarily filmed at Edmonton International Speedway, and of course especially the Speedway strip, drag strip, and the facilities around it? Was it A, Fast Company, B, 2-Lane Blacktop, or C, Snake and Mongoose? And I feel
if Coxon were here, we know which one he'd pick, but
I suppose you're right. But since you came up with the question, I'll let you give the answer.
All right. Well, the answer is A, Fast Company, which was released in 1979. The film was directed by David Cronenberg, and that in itself is a bit of an anomaly because David Cronenberg was famous for his horror films, and the fact that he created a racing movie in the middle of all those horror films is a bit weird. It would be like the equivalent of Quentin Tarantino directing a romantic comedy.
Quite.
Doesn't make any sense. So, I haven't actually watched this film. Part of me wants to watch it just for the hell of it to see if it's any good.
Neither have I.
It's one of my favorite directors.
It's definitely. I think I'll put that on my bucket list of films to watch when opportunity arises.
There's a couple of actors I recognize in that film. John Saxon, who was
okay,
in a variety of stuff.
Oh dear.
What? What's so funny about John Saxon?
I just remember, vaguely remember a line he had. I think, but where it's from or when, it's completely blank. But
his most famous role is probably as the police chief in Black Christmas.
of course, yeah. Yeah.
All right, so I guess we're down to 10 laps to go now. And I gotta say, I'm surprised that there are 10 cars running here at the end. It's quite a feat.
Indeed, and another championship turner here is that Eves is now up into second place.
David's spinning yet again. Oh, he must be getting tired of this. He just wants to get the thing home. I mean, he's in no danger of losing 10th place to Mick Chapman, because Mick is way far behind him. David's on the backside of this, and Mick is just now entering the kink after the long straight, so there's no chance of him losing 10th, but still, it's just like, man, I just want to get this thing home and over with.
Indeed.
Move on to Laguna Seca and try to get to Eves as best I can.
Indeed, and talking of Eves, as I mentioned, he's up into second now, so...
Well, you know what that means. It means Martin must have made some kind of a mistake.
Certainly. He is locking up the inside tires quite a bit, and actually Thiago ain't that far behind, so he is still in with a slight chance of a top 3 position and a podium in this race.
Thiago dispenses with Gerard Rion, and yeah, he's looking ahead now. He's got Ray Radal in between him and Lucida, but he can see him. Well, he's got all this smoke he's got to look through, but you can definitely see the opposite. Yeah, it looks as if Martin's struggling. Maybe his tires are now really worn.
Definitely a possibility, and I mean, he's locking up immensely into every turn as far as I can see.
Thiago sees the opportunity here to get on the podium.
Indeed, I mean, seeing so much tire smoke and locked up tire marks, you know that the guy in front is struggling, and that's a very nice incentive to have. And of course, Eves ain't that far up the road, so if he makes a mistake, that's second place for Thiago as well if he gets both of them.
Well, Eves is not going to be able to win this race unless David makes a huge mistake, because David's way out in front of him.
Which is somewhat unlikely, but it could happen.
But finishing second in this race after his off earlier is a miraculous recovery.
Certainly.
And certainly, if he can't win the race, second is good. That gives him 15 points. So he would exit this race with 103.
And 24 points, that would be number
So really, we said before at the top of the show that this is E plus A's championship to lose, and it really is at this point. All he has to basically do is score points of some kind in the next 2 races, and he's set. So, but you know, if he does, oh, we got Rally Areb off the track. He's trying to get back on.
1, 2, 3.
He's got quite a distance between himself and oh, and as I'm saying that, switching to Gerard Rion, he has a contact with the corner in the end. So man, people are struggling just to bring these cars home at this point.
Ooh, I think he got caught up in the dirty air from the car in front.
Perhaps.
And that
But
brings
Raul's back
David really close again.
Oh yes, David now has a chance, another chance here to possibly pick up 9th.
And I believe Thiago, no? Okay, that just looked strange with the camera angles. Still fairly close behind as well. Oh, and Gerard really sideways.
Gerard has a loose moment.
What a save though.
Here we go. Here goes David down the inside. Well, he's looking down the inside, but decides not to do it.
Gerard outbreaks himself.
Way wide, spins. Oh, he's up against the barrier. Doesn't look like he's damaged the car, though. He's going to spin around here and try to keep going. This is going to drop him to 10th place. Where's Mick? Mick is just now coming through the start area, so Gerard has no concern about losing 10th, but that puts David up to 9th.
I believe
So that
that's
gives him
his
2
time.
points.
Let's see, will it be able to go?
Yeah, given the situation, yeah, that's probably the highest he can go, because even with the spin, Raul is the full straightaway and more away from David, so...
Yeah, I'd guess around half a lap ahead, so...
Yeah. I mean, kudos to David for soldiering on. I mean, if it had been me with all the spins he's had, I would have just, like, thrown up my hands and said, enough of this. But he kept going with it, and he's not going to get too many points out of it, but he's going to get more than 0, you know.
Yeah, and that's probably what has kept him going, the chance of points for the championship.
Yeah, which is more than you know, Grant Riddall and David Jakes and some other high-profile people can say after this race.
Certainly, and it looks like it's fairly similar in terms of the gap between Martin and Thiago, but any kind of slight mistake from Martin and the dying laps here will promote Thiago to a podium finish.
Thiago's got him lined up. I mean, it's just simply a matter of one mistake on Martin's part, and Thiago's through. So, 75 laps are complete now.
So 5 of the most grueling laps of the summer for these drivers to complete. I think after this race, all of them will be happy that there is a summer break.
Yeah, it definitely is. This is definitely a... oh, goodness! And Lucina does run wide, so that gives Thiago as an opportunity here. This must be somewhat disheartening for Martin to, you know, after running second for most of the race. But he's able to get the power down. He's clearly... I think he's clearly having tire problems at this point.
Yeah, I'd agree. He is really struggling with that car.
And look at this.
He's too wide.
No! What happened there is Thiago had to go to the outside because the closing rate was more than he thought, and he just ran out of real estate.
But
that buys Martin some time.
Indeed, but kudos to Thiago for realizing that.
Yeah, he
himself on the grass rather than hitting the car in front.
It's nutty. These cars get like this. You're basically along for the ride. Oh, Thiago has a misshift there, so
we don't want to have any more of those.
No, you can only do that a couple of times in these cars before the engine goes, so you don't want to do that much. God, just everybody's just throwing up tire smoke every time they come to a stop.
Indeed. Well, it looks like Martin will have Mick Chapman to lap here. Through the...
I don't think Mick's going to make any trouble for him, but...
of course not, but any kind of car in front will put a little bit of a complication on going through the corners. Trying to take into consideration OS Mick nicely moves over on the straight.
Very sporting of Mick. Very sporting of Mick.
Really nicely done.
And Felipe Enrique just ahead here, so that could be an actor in this battle. We'll see.
It's impressive to see that Thiago has already caught up to the rear end of Martin.
Oh yeah, I mean we could be looking at a really exciting first turn here.
Indeed.
Oh man! Well, Philippe did not. He's either not using his mirrors or he.
Martin gets sideways on the grass coming onto the start-finish straight.
Yeah.
As now Philippe moves over very nicely. Don't think maybe Philippe didn't expect the closing rate going into the S.
Thiago really has an excellent opportunity to get a podium place here. He's got the opportunity on the plate, but he's got to pass one of the most canny drivers at HSO in Martin Lucena.
Indeed, and one of the latest races as well, usually. Not sure about this race because of the tire wear, but as he makes a mistake, he's wide, he's on the grass, he's off.
There goes Thiago.
So if Thiago can hold on now, that'll be a podium finish, and I think he'll be very happy with that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this was a great opportunity for him. He sacrificed his full-time drive in order to get it, and is paying off now. I mean, right now, all he's got to do is make just a few more circuits in this car, and he's got a very well-deserved podium finish.
Indeed. And looking at the rest of the top three, Yves, of course, put on a really nice recovery drive here, to say the least, and just a really good run. And David, of course, as usual, the calm, silent, non-spectacular drive, but
Yves is all over the place. I mean, there's no chance really that he's going to catch him, but Yves has not stopped trying. He is.
Well, maybe he's the kind of driver that if he actually slows down, he starts making mistakes.
Possibly.
I'm just worried of losing concentration because
Felipe Enrique has retired from the race.
Oh no, that's really unfortunate. So close to the finish.
So 12 cars left. So everybody but two are going to score points there.
That almost sounds like last weekend, where all the runners scored points in the Gold Star event.
So 2 laps to go now.
And unless a massive mistake happens, then it'll be David's win. Receives us a little bit sideways in the last turn, but he now has a nice gap to Thiago. And Thiago himself enjoying quite a big gap now to Martin.
No! Raul Ureb is out of the race too.
Oh no!
Oh, that's terrible because he's going to miss out on points. That's going to promote Mick Chapman into 10th place. Oh, that's really too bad. He must have had some kind of an incident.
Looks like, unless there was a crash in the last few turns, which I don't catch, it's a straight disconnection. Because on my screen, he's in the middle of Taylor turn, the second to last turn, and then just disappears.
That's awful. That's awful to have happen only 2 laps from the end. And that promotes David Saber into 8th place, so that's more points for him.
Well, he will probably thank his lucky star for that.
Yeah. And that will give Mick Chapman, who is, I think he's finished, I could be wrong, he's finished 11th a couple of times in this series. This will be the first points for him in the BRM, if he's able to finish 10th. So good job for him.
I think he'll
All
be
right.
pretty happy with that.
So David Yunt is now on his last lap. Pretty wild race in terms of, I mean, lots of things happened that we didn't expect, but we've got people finishing in front that are proven contenders, but I think this...
David, don't do that now.
Oh,
You
goodness,
went
he
wide
did have-
between
He
3
did have
and
a
4.
slight moment there, didn't he? But but I'll tell you what, the story of the race though has to be Tiago Canola.
Certainly.
A really excellent drive, and not one without adversity. He had a lot of eventful things to overcome during the race, but he was able to, you know, assuming that he makes these last few corners, a podium finish in this car is a really well-deserved result. And hopefully we'll be seeing more performances like this from him in the future.
Indeed. It's really nice to see a new driver up the front.
Well, he's not really a new face
Well,
to HSO. He's been around for a little bit, but this is the first time he's really shown like
It's
this.
nice to see a driver not usually up the front, at the front.
Yes.
Let me re-emphasize like that. As David Yunt heads through the last turn here, under the
Here he comes.
bridge, and heading for the pit wall as he crosses the finish line. And he'll probably be doing some burnouts here.
Time
Yes,
to
he
make
does
the
indeed.
Eames takes second place to take a commanding lead in the point.
Yep.
That's going to give him...
And Tiago crossed the line for a well-deserved third position on the podium here. Big congratulations.
Lucina
great drive.
finishes fourth. Probably a bit of an anticlimax for Lucina.
Of course, sitting in the podium positions for the whole race, and he ended up outside of that is a bit...
Fifth place is Juha Boss, and he's down to... Well, actually, he's got a ways to go yet. Ray Rodal is... or Gabriel Stur has finished sixth. Ray Rodal finishes seventh. David Saber comes across to take eighth. And here comes Gerard Rion to finish ninth. So the only car left to cross the line is Juha. Comes down to the final turn. So Juha is able to bring the car home, so he can't himself the person who crashes every race.
He seems to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, he's happy the race is for him, I'm sure. All right, so that was the Edmonton Can-Am. Thank you very much for covering this race, Jonathan. Great job as always.
Thank you. It's always a joy to broadcast these.
Yes.
But usually there are few more battles than there were here, it felt like, but it was good fun either way.
All right,
I think I'll wait for just a few moments, see if any of the drivers wants to join us in the booth, otherwise we'll cap off the broadcast in just a little bit.
Well, I'm going to go take care of the results and housekeeping issues. Great to talk to you, Jonathan, and hope everyone enjoyed the race at home.
Thank you very much for joining me, Jason, and unfortunate for your retirement, but hope you had fun with me in the booth instead.
I did. So, I'll definitely be seeing you at the Pocono 500 for sure.
That sounds great.
All right, take care of yourself.
You too.
Bye.
User
Bye.
disconnected from your channel.
So that's Jason White. Thank you very much to Jason for joining us here, and yeah, what a race that ended up being. Quite a few retirements in the end, but all in all a very nice race, I'd say. Some very good battles. Some very interesting developments in the championship hunt. And, looks like we'll have to wait until Laguna Seca to know whether Eves will take the championship outright, or if there will be a bit more to go, as we are joined in the booth by our race winner, David Yunt. Congratulations, David.
Thank you.
Looked like from broadcast booth that was a very quiet and calm race. How was it from your point of view?
Wasn't really to the end, to be honest. Apart from feeling like I don't know, really lucky to win, since I felt like David, Grant, David, I mean both Davids, probably you as well, since I saw his pace there. That most of them were, I mean, I like 1 hour or even 30 minutes before the race itself, I was lying down with feeling a bit of headache and feeling well, so then I thought, come on, I'm gonna get up and race. Then I just took a good setup that David Jakes once let me have used, that like Road to America. It worked well, so used it here. Did a good lap. That was all I wanted. Yeah, and I thought like, gonna get points and going when I feel okay. And well, my start race was a bit hectic, since I was a bit too far and then probably a bit too close because of the overlap, but Rio passed everyone and then spun. Yeah, I feel just good because David, Grant came together, Grant pinballed into David, so I was suddenly second, and then David got, well, annihilated out of nowhere, and I was suddenly left in the lead alone with surprising Lucina in second on a good race. I was trying to maintain pace, but it wasn't as easy. After like the fuel lap mileage dropped, the fuel dropped to below 100 liters. Car got really difficult to drive, especially in the left-right chicanes. I like once or twice I nearly dropped it to the right side, went too wide because the car suddenly felt different to drive. Put in some laps to keep Lucina away. Then Pink lost it himself again, so he also lost out to Eve. In the end, I was not really having issues. No shortage on fuel, no nothing. I was just being very cautious on the last few laps, even though I went a bit too wide on the last lap. But I was just calming myself just to finish the race without going off and crashing in an embarrassing way. So yeah, I'm happy that I didn't fail, or I just took the race without making big mistakes. But from pace alone, I would say most of the other guys that qualified ahead of me would have been more, more satisfied, more probably would have them pace better than me.
Well, you survived, others didn't, so a well-deserved win, and with that you also get a very outside chance at the championship. It will take some mistakes from Yves and David, but as we saw today, it can happen. So, any thoughts at all about trying to get there, or will you just wait and see? See.
That's true, but as soon as I saw Eve coming back and not really having issues, I thought like, no, I'm just gonna focus on getting a rare win. Well, I could have probably won one race more if I had been patient. But it isn't easy coming these wins. David and Juha in the McLarens are really fast. David in the Auto Coach is really good. Even the Ferrari is a mighty combination. And there are other people, like even Lucina now in the old McLaren. Not just him. I mean, there's several good people on a good day. They're all there on pace. So taking my second win is probably already a big satisfaction for me. This one is a lucky win, but I'm happy to be winning. So in the championship, to be honest, I kind of gave up really looking at it, since first race I was battling for the podium, then I had an unlucky crash that cost me points. Later on I missed the race, probably too tired again, decided not to race. And I think I had a crash at Road Atlanta. So, to be honest, it's an outside chance, but I'm not really looking at it. I'm more happy that good results are coming and top 5s are keep coming in. Bit I keep liking the car more and more over the season. Could have swapped cars. I mean, some got free, but I decided I kind of like the car. It's not really that big of a thing, so I kept driving it, and it feels like still a good mix between it's got power, but it's also still good to handle. I mean, also have a bigger engine, but are maybe a bit more of a handful, especially when the fuel goes off and the tires. But yeah, I felt happy with the car I got, so I didn't decide to change, and I got better over the season, I guess. Apart from like the last retirement I had, or yeah, so like the top 5, top podiums, such coming in, I'm really happy with them. So maybe the last 2 races something happens. I mean, you know, Murray Walker says it usually does. But I'm just gonna enjoy having some good races now.
Okay. Well, again, congratulations on your win, and hopefully you'll have good last 2 races after the summer break. But with that, I think we'll cap off the broadcast. So we will be on the summer break here at HSO during the month of August. We have one complete brain freight. We have one race over at ISO, the International Sim Racing Organization. Friends, our other site, where we'll be running at Kansai in a couple of night races. There are a couple of free cars there, so if you own AMS and you want to give it a go, then feel free to head over there and take part. But next time you'll see us will be in the month of September, probably around the 11th or 12th of September, I believe, somewhere around there. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the show we put on tonight. But until next time, take care and good night.